Greetings from the quarantine bunker here at Rock Science. A lot of people are doing collaboration over long distances now, as we're all isolating. Not everybody uses the same DAW, and there's definitely some pain points with exchanging projects and files between DAWs. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a song between 3 different DAWs: Pro Tools, Cakewalk, and Reaper. I'm going to go both directions between Pro Tools and Cakewalk, Pro Tools and Reaper, and do a final version of the song in Pro Tools. We'll go through some of the settings that you have to do going both directions in all 3 of those DAWs to get things right. Hopefully this will clear up some of the mysteries that happen along the way. This is Rock Science, my home studio in Newport, Rhode Island. Over the years I've been in music and technology. I've seen the tools modernize and digitize, and played a part in that evolution during my 9 years at Cakewalk. Today, Rock Science exists for art's sake only. It's where I practice my craft and get to work on really cool projects. Little finger-style guitar thing here. Gonna do my typical setup here. So this one's kind of AKG-ish, this one's kind of Neumann-ish. This is above the bridge, this is right at the neck body joint, and this is what I like to do. I'm going into the Universal Audio Twinfinity preamp. It's set mostly sort of halfway tube and transistor, so we'll get a little bit of harmonic fun with the tube setting, but still pretty clean. That's what we're going for on this. A little bit of the FET compressor on it too. So let's see if I can still play a guitar here. Okay, so we're going to call that done. We're going to ship these off to another DAW, namely Cakewalk, and we're going to export them out of Pro Tools. But before we do that, there's a few things we have to check in Pro Tools. So we're going to go to Setup, Session, and take a look at this dialog box here. First thing we have to make sure of is that we are doing BWF audio format. It's broadcast wave format. A broadcast wave is just like a regular wave, except it's got time code information in the header of the wave file. And that's the key to getting things to line up in time. The other thing you're going to notice here is that the session start time has got a SMPTE offset of 1 hour. If we were to export things just as they are now, they would line up relative to each other in the other DAW, but they'd be 1 hour down the timeline. So what we want to do here is make this 00. And here it's asking me, do you want to move, basically saying, do you want to move the clips or do you want to move the time? And the default is not what we want. We want to maintain relative position. And once I do that, you can see that the time code ruler up here is now at 0, where before it was starting at 1 hour. And now when we export, 0 here is going to be 0 in the other DAW, and it's going to work great, I hope. So let's export these into Cakewalk and go from there. Okay, so I'm wearing my lovely orange t-shirt because I'm Cakewalk guy now. I've got a Cakewalk session started here. No tracks, empty slate. So what we're going to do is go back to the exported WAV files and pull them into Cakewalk. So if we just try this right off the bat, we'll see what happens. Grab the click track, bring it up to like here on the timeline, and as you can see, it dropped right where I let my mouse off. That is not what we want. We wanted it to drop at the right time. And the reason that didn't happen is because we need to do some settings in Cakewalk that are not on by default. So you need to go to the audio data in your preferences. You need to make sure always import broadcast wave at their timestamp is checked. And for going the other direction, we want to make sure that we export broadcast waves by default. So now, if I grab this click track and drop it in, no matter where I put my mouse, when I let go, it put it right at the right time. This is way back near the beginning where I had my time selection when I exported. So that looks good. And it plays. So we've built our first track from an exported thing in Pro Tools. I'm going to grab the other two and just bring them in, and again, no matter where I drop them, broadcast wave timestamp is going to get honored, and it's going to it's going to drop them at the right place. So, and look at that. So about that. That one over there, it's roughly where I had them in Pro Tools. And now Cakewalk Guy can work from these tracks exported from Pro Tools Guy. And so we're going to add a new track and put another guitar or something else on here next. So I wanted to record another guitar track on top of the fingerstyle thing that I did before. This is another one just playing more single notes. Just wanted to make it sound like I had more fingers, basically. So it sounds like this. And along with the existing one. I wanted to put this mandolin in the more strumming part of the guitar as a little more jangly 16th note kind of stuff going on. Let's see what it sounds like. I like it. That was with one of the mic parts modded mics into the Cappy preamp, the 312. So a bunch of homemade stuff. Sounds pretty good for homemade stuff, I think. So the next thing we're going to do is export the stuff recorded here in Cakewalk, and we'll import it somewhere else to keep going. Alright, so now we're going to export from Cakewalk. Cakewalk gives you a lot of options for export. It's pretty powerful in terms of what you can set up. A lot more options than Pro Tools offers. You know, not surprisingly, there's a lot of things lacking in Pro Tools that other DAWs have. So I'm going to do the mandolin tracks first, and there's a lot of different ways we could do it. We could do it by the whole track, we could do it by a time region or whatever, but since it's just two discrete clips here, I'm just going to select the clips only. And when I go to do the export, I'm going to do File, Export, Audio, and Source Category. If you choose clips, it will do these actually as individual files. I'm doing them as broadcast wave, turning off all automation again, just doing fast bounce. One thing though, I want to show, I renamed the clips because this again is going to end up being part of the file name for the individual slices that get exported. So I just called this Mando 1, Mando 2, this is G Notes 1 and G Notes 2 up here. So we're going to do these two. Actually, I think I can do all of them in one fell swoop here. So we will do export, audio, make sure I like all my settings. I want clip category, 24-bit, and I created a folder in my over in the Pro Tools project called external. So that's going to be where any external material comes from to be imported into that Pro Tools project. And so I'm going to just export them. It should do 4 chunks. And there it's doing it. Cool. And now let's go take a look at that folder. And look at that. We've got 4 clips. Those are broadcast wave time stamped. When I drop them into Pro Tools, they're going to land perfectly right in time. I hope. Let's try it out. Okay, so now we're going to take the wonderful stuff that we recorded in Cakewalk and we're going to import it back into Pro Tools to continue on. So this way we have gone both directions between Cakewalk and Pro Tools. Here is the external folder where the raw files landed when I exported them from Cakewalk. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to grab the second mandolin part, and I'm just going to drag it to an open spot on the timeline to make a new track and let go of it. And it didn't go to the right place. It dropped right where I dropped the mouse. It acts just like when I did that in Cakewalk before I had the option set correctly. Well, that option doesn't exist in Pro Tools that I know of. I think the only way around this is you have to, after dropping it, right-click and spot the clip to the correct place. If you open this spot dialog, you can see there's an original timestamp field here. It shows you where the broadcast wave timestamp is. If you click this little widget here, it will put the time where it is, click OK, and look at that. It moved the mandolin track right where it wants to go. If I play, it went to the right place. So it works, it's just an extra step, unlike Cakewalk where it would have just landed right where you wanted it to go. So we'll do the same thing with the other Mando track. Again, I'll just drop it arbitrarily anywhere it's in the wrong place. We will spot it to the right place. And there it is. And now this one. Okay, that's it. I'm going to do the same thing with the guitar tracks. It'll be the same process, and then we'll go on from there.